His opponent wearing the red trunks with black trim, weighing in at 230½ pounds. He also is an Olympic gold medal champion in the super heavyweight division from 1988. He's undefeated now as a professional, 17-0, 15 by KO, ranked number 3 in the world by the WBA. Ladies and gentlemen, from East London, England, Lennox Lewis.
All right, gentlemen, we know the instructions in the dressing room. Remember to obey my commands at all times. Any questions? Protect yourselves at all times, guys.
This trunk's a little high, aren't they?
The main question as we go into this fight is whether Tyrell Biggs can muster the same kind of enthusiasm and energy as he had against Riddick Bowe. If he does, he can make a very good fight out of it, perhaps even win it.
Among heavyweight contenders, Lennox Lewis is ranked 3rd by the WBA, 5th by the IBF, and 6th by the WBC. Tyrell Biggs, after his loss to Bowe, is no longer ranked in the top 10 by any organization. Lewis comes out firing and lands a right hand to drive Bowe into the ropes.
Great, there you go.
Make it Biggs, not Bowe.
You may be thinking of the future, Larry.
Yeah, I'm thinking of something that might happen down the road.
And Biggs looks a little soft around the middle to me.
Doesn't look as sharply trained as was the case against Bowe a couple of months ago. Biggs told us he only had 2.5 or 3 weeks in which to get ready for this fight. And maybe Lewis senses that and has made a determined effort to come out of the blocks extremely fast. And now Biggs tries to get the jab going.
And you know, it's unusual for the book on Lennox Lewis is that he's a very careful fighter. Works behind the jab. And for him to move out of the blocks like that, Jim, is quite a surprise. He looks like he wants to get it over with in the first round.
Clearly wants to make an impression on American viewers and the American boxing writers seated at ringside. When Tyrell Biggs can get the jab working, he is a very stylish-looking heavyweight. Wild right hand, just missed by Lewis.
One of Biggs' biggest problems in the past was that he tried to punch and get out of the way at the same time. And it took all of the sting out of his punches. He said tonight that he's going to sit down on his punches, and he finally realized that he has to hit you and hurt you when he fights you. It's not any amateurs.
Both men are landing the jab here. Biggs has not tried to follow with anything. Lewis is the one who is throwing big right hands over the top, most of which have missed so far except for the one early connect that pushed Biggs into the ropes.
But as you can see, Tyrell Biggs is fighting from a flat-footed stance, which is very, very unusual for him. None of the side-to-side movement, not on his toes.
Lead left hook just missed for Lewis. Now 2 right hands land, and another. And Biggs ties him up. Round 1 coming to a close. Lewis lands 2 more right hands. Biggs in a little trouble, but the bell is going to sound.
Lennox Lewis looks like he certainly has advanced quite a bit since
well, he was
amateur
exceptionally
days.
aggressive in his last fight against former cruiserweight Glenn McCrory, and he has come out firing again tonight. Lewis, once again, pinning Biggs against the ropes with right hands, and now Tyrell pivots off the ropes and lands a couple body shots.
There's that trying to punch and get out of the way at the same time. You saw Biggs flick that left hand out. Didn't quite reach Lewis with the punch. There it is again. Short with the jab.
Well, Larry talked about the amateur experience. Biggs was a great amateur where the payoff is for putting your glove on the target. In professional boxing, you should put your glove through the target, and it took him a long time to learn to even try that.
Well, Jim, I think you should put your glove through the target whether you're an amateur or a pro, because if you hit a guy with a stiff punch, you knock him off balance and you can hit him with 2 or 3 more.
There's a trickle of blood now from Tyrell Biggs' mouth, spilling over the lower lip. Left hand was solid.
Work that 3 down. There you go, baby. Move it.
If you saw Biggs Tyson in 1987, you know that Tyrell gets a very pained expression on his face, almost as though he's about to weep when he's being badly beaten in the ring. Traces of that expression are already beginning to creep around the eyes of Tyrell Biggs tonight.
Lennox Lewis looks like much the stronger guy physically, Jim. Looks like he can handle Tyrell on the inside.
There was a solid jab from Biggs, and now he tries to follow up to the body and lands twice. And Lewis continues to step forward. That right hand did not connect.
There you go.
But the crowd loved the effort. Uppercut is solid, and Tyrell Biggs once again pinned against the ropes. And Biggs with a left to the body and a left over the top.
Good stiff left hook by Tyrell Biggs. And Jim, this is the first time I've ever seen him fight this way, completely flat-footed and really trying to bang away. That's what he told us he was going to do in the interview, and that's what he's doing.
10 seconds to go in round number 2, and in the second half of this round, Biggs has started to come alive a little.
Stop.
Is you have one fighter on the way up who's never had his shot, still has a dream of being a champion. The other fighter has had his shot. Can the other fighter, meaning Biggs, really sustain his enthusiasm through a barrage of punches?
Well, Larry, if in fact Biggs can land a couple of good solid punches, he can get that adrenaline flowing. But he can get discouraged a lot easier than a Lennox Lewis can get discouraged in a fight.
And right now in this round, he's already taken 2 discouraging right hands. That one just missed. But this is rapidly deteriorating toward target practice for Lennox Lewis. There's a good stiff jab. And another. And there's the right hand he was supposed to follow with.
I like the way Lennox Lewis goes back down to the body with that left hook after he throws a combination to the head.
One of the things for which Lewis has been criticized in the English press is an inability to put punches together. So he has been working on that.
One thing I noticed with Lennox Lewis, there's that left hook underneath again. One thing I noticed, he really doesn't feint as much as I think he should feint. He walks, he gets within punching range and snaps that jab right out. Sometimes it's good, you feint a little bit, let the guy fall for the feint, then you nail him.
Very little head movement for Lewis. Could be a problem later on, particularly for a guy who's 6 feet 5 inches tall, and down goes Biggs from the solid right cross.
That was a good, solid right hand right on the chin.
7, 8.
Tyrell's going to get up at 8.
Here we are.
Gets a little breather. He showed courage against Bo. And there's another right hand, and that might be it.
2, 3.
I think that Tyrell is starting to think that to himself, Jim. That might be it.
Now he's going to make one more try.
You okay? You want to go?
No 3 knockdown rule in effect here. No 3 knockdown rule. So Tyrell can go down again without automatically being out of the fight. Both knockdowns were on the right cross. Lewis throws another one. Biggs goes down again, and the referee's seen enough.
That's an impressive victory for Lennox Lewis. A good scalp to have.
Just stay there.
And I'll go in the ring and find out where he's going from here.
Okay, let's do that, Larry. See if he's going to pick his next opponent by committee or who's going to pick the opponent.
Well, you're right. He told us before that he was very enthusiastic about going ahead with top flight opponents, but that his business managers had to temper him.